Welcome to this short session, which I hope will be informative as we explore what is at the very heart of our school, namely our vision and values. Our distinctive Christian vision is an inspiring education centered on friends, faith, and lifelong learning. This short presentation will seek to highlight how these key strands are embedded throughout the school and how they impact everyone within it, allowing all to flourish. The first strand for us to explore is that of friends, where at Meriden CE Primary School we seek to encourage positive relationships that are characterised by care and empathy, building respect for themselves and others in the diverse society within which we live. We also seek to help build a happy, safe, and interconnected community that celebrates life within the school family and the wider village context. Aspect of our vision statement goes beyond children simply getting along or just being friends, but it's how that whole community is connected together in a positive relationship. And we see this expressed in many aspects of our school life, whether that be our work with the older members of our school community in trying to create healthy links there and have almost role models within our community for the children to be respecting and looking up to. It might be through coffee mornings that we do, where we seek to listen to parents effectively and build a relationship there and take their feedback on the education that we're offering them, or whether it is in other ways like our anti-bullying, which has such a strong profile at Meriden, and we fly the flag for anti-bullying so strongly with our Kiva work, as you can see in one or two of the pictures on this slide. So why is this so important to us? Well, first of all, relationships are at the very heart of the big story of the Bible. And it's relationships between God and people, as well as people and people, that seems to be so central to the whole story of the Bible, which we hinge our vision statement upon. It is God's clear intention from the beginning of the Bible that He desires relationships with people, even when we make mistakes. And He actively pursues people in order to meet them where they're at and rebuild relationship where it has become damaged. We see this most dramatically through the person of Jesus Christ, who came to make a bridge between mankind and God, showing us what He is like. At the very outset of the Bible, in Genesis 2, chapter 2, verse 18, it says quite simply, it's not good for man to be alone. And so this is a great anchor for us as a community as we strive to promote healthy, balanced, and respectful relationships in all that we do between all key stakeholders of our community. And it's within this community of belonging that our values are outplayed, which we'll look at in a few more slides' time as we discover what it means to be fully dressed in the Creator's wardrobe. If you click on the link to the right-hand side of this page, it will take you to a document which will flesh out a little bit more of what we're talking about when we talk about where our vision has come from and its biblical basis. Faith is the second strand of our vision statement for us to explore, where we at Meriden seek to value all as a gift from God, where each individual within the school family has the opportunity to explore their own potential and purpose, where we offer an education that has its foundations in the Christian faith that seeks to bring life to all that we do. And we see this expressed in a daily fashion with our collective worship, whether we gather as a whole school or in classes or through lockdown with people's homes themselves. But we also see this spiritual development of children as front and central in the curriculum that we have developed, as it's threaded through all of the avenues of the topics that we cover. Faith is the second strand of our vision statement for us to explore now, where we at Meriden seek to value all as a gift from God, where each individual within the school family has the opportunity to explore their own potential and purpose, where we offer an education that has its foundations in the Christian faith that seeks to bring life to all that we do. And we see faith expressed through school on a daily basis through collective worship, whether in school or in. So, why faith? Why is this such an anchor of our vision statement? Well, back over 200 years ago now, Joshua Watson started church schools in the year 1811, and he was inspired by a belief that all children have been made in the image of God, and therefore all children, irrespective of class or their gender or their background or their ethnicity, were worth educating. And it's the whole child that's worth educating, not just the academic side, but also the physical, emotional, the spiritual side, the mental side. The whole child needs to be nourished and nurtured and developed. And so at Meriden, we take a wide view of this sort of education, in that we're encouraging the development of that whole child. And therefore, of course, a child's spiritual development is as equally as important as those other areas. And so we take great intentional opportunities throughout our curriculum to thread in those sorts of activities that would seek to develop that aspect of a child, to help them to wonder, to have awe, to consider questions around why they're here and what's their purpose in the life that they have been given. A verse from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 27, verse 37, says to love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and with all your mind. As children crafted in God's image, we desire that they too would learn to express this love throughout their whole lives themselves. And finally, we come to lifelong learning, where we seek to encourage a love of learning through a vibrant and inclusive curriculum, one that actively enables all children to reach their full potential. We are not just concerned, although we are, with the statutory requirements of the national curriculum, but we also consider the broader experience that we may be able to offer a child, whether that be through having inspirational visitors, going on trips or residentials, including practical skills through the curriculum or the use of the outdoor environment. These are just a few things that we would like children to experience in their time at Meriden. We consider a child's cultural capital too. That's the opportunities that we can offer as a school that may not be readily available or necessarily experienced in their normal home environment. We recognise that it as a real privilege to equip children, not so that they succeed just at Meriden, but actually where they go beyond the walls of Meriden, as they go on to senior school and into employment as well. So why is lifelong learning our final anchor of our vision statement? Well, throughout Jesus' life, he modelled growth and intentionally developed to become everything that God the Father had called him to be. In the Gospel of Luke, in chapter 2, verse 52, in what's been described by many as the hidden years, those years, these formative years from being a child to a man, it simply says this: and Jesus matured, growing up in both body and spirit, blessed by both God and people. It was in his formative years that Jesus prepared himself for the life that was ahead. This is mirrored in Christians' lives who would consider their salvation or their safety not something that is one-off, but something to be worked at in relationship with God himself. At Meriden, it's through a firmly rooted set of values that we endeavour to fully prepare children for the life that is ahead of them. It is in learning to get fully dressed, which we'll look at on the next slide as we consider our values, that we encourage these behaviours to move from being awkward and difficult, like learning to tie a tie, to becoming more natural and second nature. We realise that many of the jobs that children may well be doing in 10 years' time or so may not have even been created. And so focusing on the development of the whole character of pupils goes hand in hand with a vibrant, engaging, and varied curriculum that lays the foundation for what lies ahead. The values of any organisation could be described as the things that we hold most dearest, or they may be described as our way of behaving on our journey of achieving our vision. And these values here, which you can read about by clicking the link to the right hand side of the screen, if you want to read in more detail, you're able to do that. It's these values that have helped shape many of our policies and our procedures and our expectations of both children and adults within our school. And it's based upon Colossians 3, written by the Apostle Paul after Jesus' death and resurrection. And he's writing to a community of believers, and it says this in the Message version of Colossians chapter 3. Now you're dressed in a new wardrobe. Every item of your new way of life is custom made by the Creator with his label on it. So, chosen by God for this new life of love, dress in the wardrobe God has picked out for you. Compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, discipline. Be even-tempered, content with second place, quick to forgive an offence. Forgive as quickly and completely as the Master forgave you. And regardless of what else you put on, wear love. It's your basic, all-purpose garment. Never be without it. We really like this image that the Apostle Paul creates of putting on a new set of clothing with God's name in it. The Creator's name is stitched into it almost. And much like learning a new skill, sometimes this clothing can feel awkward and unnatural at first. One of our values is forgiveness, one of the hardest things to do and perhaps the most unnatural thing to do. It's far easier to hold a grudge when somebody has upset you. However, we encourage the children, we encourage the adults, in fact, to practice these values, not in isolation, but in community alongside others, so that they become part of our everyday wardrobe. To learn how to tie a tie can be really tricky and frustrating and take loads of practice. But after a while, it becomes normal and natural, automatic and second nature. And we hope that these values would become part of our everyday wardrobe as well. The image that we have created in the top middle of this screen tries to exemplify this, where the child in the middle has become fully dressed, fully complete in God's wardrobe for themselves. And it's our hope that everyone within the Meriden school community, including the grown-ups, would learn what it means to be dressed in God's wardrobe. You can read more about it by clicking the link to the right-hand side of this screen. So as we come to a close on this short presentation on our vision and values, a key question that we reflect on as a school is this: how effective is the school's distinctive Christian vision, established and promoted at all levels, in enabling pupils and adults to flourish? So you may be watching this as a governor or a parent or perhaps a teacher or support staff. And I wonder whether I could leave you with this question: how do you contribute in your role to the school's vision in allowing all adults, all pupils to flourish within its walls? Well, thank you so much for taking the time to listen and watch this short presentation today. I hope that it's been really useful, really informative, and helped you get a picture of what our school is like. You can click on this image here, which is a snapshot from our website, for more information about our vision, where it comes from, and our values that accompany it. Thank you again.